This is the New Eden update for Wednesday, February 3rd, 2016. I'm Wiggles, and here's a roundup of a few stories from around New Eden. Starting today at thematani.com with a post about a 54 billion-ish Mercurial brawl in Conan. On the January 30th, I'll start it again, on January 30th, around 1630 Eve, a brawl between two Mercurial fleets took place in the lone trick system of Conan. The 54 billion-ish engagement began as CO2 formed to defend a cadmium moon reinforced timer. Attacking the POS was a combined Mercurial fleet from Snuff, 1613 and MC. This was not the first time Conan had seen a faction battleship throwdown. On December 13th, there was a 67 billion-ish brawl between the two sides, ultimately ending with CO2 as the victors. The defenders fielded 2 Archons, 6 Balgons and 62, yes count them, 62 Mercurials, with some Hicks and logistic support. CO2 eventually placed 14 supercarriers on the field towards the end of the fight. The combined force of Snuff, 1613 and MC, attacked with 2 Archons, 73 Mercurials, 2 Nestors and their own shield and armor logistics respectively. Hacks also joined the fight in Ishtars. CO2 won both strategic objectives and the ISK war during the fight, dealing nearly 45 billion ISK in damages to the combined Snuff, 1613 and MC fleets, while taking only 9.7 billion ISK in losses. 72 or 73 Mercurials. That's a lot of Mercurials, yo. Next we go to Eve News 24 for an update on the war in Heimatar. Quote, the war between Did He Say Jump and Dead Terrorists has been raging on for the better part of 2 months. Two sides have traded many blows, with the fighting occurring nearly daily, and allies called for both sides on a regular basis. The two sides have been battling over the moons in and around the Heimatar region, previously owned by Dead Terrorists, but later on in a surprise move flipped to Fetid side, who then aligned itself with Did He Say Jump. This move saw the formation of a coalition named the Good Guys Coalition, or GGC for short, which included alliances and corporations such as Did He Say Jump, Fetid and the Imperium Bulwarks. The GGC then launched an all-out assault on the remaining Dead Terrorist towers, with Dead Terrorists attempting and failing to hold the line against the onslaught. At the moment, it seems Dead Terrorists and Shadow Cartel have reclaimed most of the towers, with the tide of the war swinging decidedly on the side of the GGC, seemingly on the defensive. However, with the current state of the allies in the coalition, it is unlikely to be unable to stem the tide. And yet, as seen before, everything is still open in this war, and the GGC may still make a surprising comeback, as Did He Say Jump seems willing to keep on fighting Dead Terrorists and Shadow Cartel itself to the end. Next we go to Crossing Zebras for an imaginatorily titled post, quoted, The Halls of Babylon, end quote. As most of you will know, the head of the Imperium, the Matani, held a State of the Goonin in November, prior to the Imperium invasion of Cloudring in Losec. In it, he spoke at length of, quote, his people, end quote, and the supposed threat they faced from the enemies who wish to corrupt their way of life and destroy all the good things the goons have laboured to create. It was stated clearly during the address that the enemy, in fact, so vile and depraved that they would even destroy Eve in order to harm the Imperium. According to the Matani, this was a real war. A concrete threat was brewing in Cloudring and Losec. The rest of the galaxy was falling into ruin and chaos, and the Imperium had to ensure that their, quote, beacon of unity and discipline and victory, end quote, remained strong in the face of the barbarians at the gates bent on, quote, bitter and vindictive tribalism. It should be no surprise that the Losec then has turned into a bit of a Vietnam for the Imperium. This is a territory they are not familiar with, and the alliances within the coalition have repeatedly seen defeat. That does not mean that the Imperium mission statement isn't followed, however. As promised, the coalition has burned down money moons of Losec powerhouses such as Snuffbox, using overwhelming numbers as a deterrent. Ultimately, one might hope that smaller alliances, or even the special interest groups, known as SIGs, within the Imperium, decide that they like the Losec thing so much that they decide to stay there, even break off from the Imperium in order to pursue the Losec lifestyle. Unfortunately, that's probably not happening anytime soon, although we have seen some splintering for other reasons. For most Losec players, perspective, the Imperium is a near mindless lumbering blob with the odd star here or there, thrashing about Losec with mentality that most players there find anything apart from repulsive to comic. Perhaps given time, this perspective will change, but then again, that's not likely to either. Also today, some sad news. In a forum post on the Dust forum by CCP Frame, he announced today that CCP is going to shut down Dust 514 on the 30th of May 2016, so the 1.3 update will not be released. A new PC first-person shooter is being developed using the Unreal 4 engine and is an evolution of the Project Legion, the concept that was announced first at FanFest in 2014. Elsewhere in EVE-related content, there are new blog posts out from Rick Javix, Noisy Gamer, and a few others on the Dust closing topic, new podcasts out from the Jeff Raider Show, and another CSM 11 interview from CSM Watch. Plex prices in the Forge region today are registering an average traded price of 1,184,000,000 ISK so far, which is up slightly from yesterday's closing average of 1,182,000,000. The top buy order in Jita right now is 1,185,000,000 and sell orders are starting at 1,205,000,000. Thank you to the people who've chosen to support this show on Patreon and decided they get some value from this show and also TotalEve.com and decided to give a little bit back. As always, you can go to patreon.com/wiggles to find out about how to support this show. And if you can't support on Patreon, I understand that. And I also always ask that, if you do have the time, tell your friends or your court mates or your alliance mates, your goldfish, the next door neighbour, the guy in the chip shop, the pizza delivery guy, even the guy that you orders your Chinese for you on the phone. Tell him about the show and the sites. I've now started to broadcast this show live on Twitch and YouTube when I'm recording the show for the podcast, so please, if you do have any feedback, let me know how you think it's going, because I'm doing it live, so mess ups are there. Thank you. This has been the New Eden Update for Wednesday, February 3rd, 2016. You can leave comments in the show blog at newedenupdate.com or you can tweet us at New Eden Update. I also encourage you to check out all the latest headlines, podcasts, blog posts and other information you can find on TotalEve.com. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Wiggles and thank you for listening.